Hello and welcome to today's talk, which is focusing on Chem, where we'll be talking all the things you might need to know before you get started at the interview. My name is Jake. I am going to be your host today. I'm part of our social media team here. But if we go around the bell, I think first up we've got Pamela. If you'd like to tell us a bit more about yourself and what you do.
Hello, I'm Dr. Pamela Hardacre and I'm the Associate Professor of Student Experience for the Faculty of Computing, Engineering and Media. And I think one of the best ways to describe my job was something that my nephew said, which is basically I'm auntie to everybody. So for issues and problems, I'm the person that it's good to come to.
Fantastic, thank you, Pamela. And Dr. Gow, if you'd like to also introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm John. I'm the Associate Head of School for Engineering and Sustainable Development. I look after all taught curriculums at the undergraduate level across the school and also teach in electronic engineering and in aerospace.
Thank you very much, John. We also have a student with us. So Kit, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hi there, I'm Kit Julian Anstey. I'm a student doing game art at the moment, it's honours degree, bachelor's, and I'm also on the enterprise placement year at DMU currently. So yeah, that's me.
Thank you very much. And now also we have Kira.
Hi, I'm Kira. I work in the Student Advice Centre for Chem. So if you ever got any queries, just pop down. We're in Gateway House.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Kira. So how today's going to go is we're going to have a short presentation from Pamela, and then we're going to get into some questions and answers. So if you have any questions, please do make sure to put them in the comments section so that we can read them out later and get you answers as best we can. But with all that said, I think, Pamela, if you're right, I think we'll be over to you.
Thank you very much. So I'm just going to give a very, very brief introduction to the Faculty of Computing, Engineering and Media. So our faculty is made up of 3 different schools. There is the School of Computer Science and Informatics, the School of Engineering and Sustainable Development, and Leicester Media School. So could you just go back up 1 slide, please? Oh, sorry, 2 slides. There we go. So School of Computer Science and Informatics have courses, as you would imagine, in applied computing, artificial intelligence, business data, computer games programming. We have a foundation year, games production, and probably one of the most recent ones is the Internet of Things. And we also have a number of quite interesting clubs that go on there, including things like the Robotic Club and the App Club and a variety of other things as well. We've got quite a number of labs in Gateway House, and I think there are some labs in Queens as well. So there are computers there to use, and there is other equipment around that can be useful, particularly when you come to your projects. For the School of Engineering, if we could go down, what lovely. School of Engineering and Sustainable Development, there are a number of courses there as well. Engineering Year 0, Electrical and Electronic Engineering, fairly new course of Aeronautical Engineering, and then Mechatronics and Mechanical Engineering. Now, again, there are some very interesting clubs there, including the Student Formula Club, which is the race car. So if we could just go down 1 slide. John, could you say a little bit more about that, please?
Just briefly, the Formula Student is just really one of our student clubs and societies aimed at engineering and furthering engineering beyond the curriculum. Essentially with Formula Student, it's open to any student on any course within the engineering portfolio of courses. And the goal is each year to build, design and build a race car to a particular specification. The specification changes every year. It's plonked firmly within the mechanical group of courses. We do also have additional clubs that cater more towards the electronic and aerospace end of the curriculum. But there is, of course, a considerable amount of electronics associated with engine management. Electronic engineering is most welcome within the Formula Student area. In addition, we also have Formula E, so the electric car, the electric Formula Student car, which isn't pictured here, is in development, and that provides an alternative with basically a race car, an electric race car, in keeping with the drive towards electric vehicles in general. And this will be available again to any student who's particularly interested in cars. I would stress this isn't the only club available. It's one that's probably one of the largest and does have final year projects associated that could be directly associated with the design of the race car. We do have many others, including the Electronics Club, where a couple of years ago our students actually launched a high altitude balloon and took several very captivating photographs of the curvature of the Earth from 90,000 feet, and you can find that footage on YouTube if you look. So the opportunity there to design and build many pieces of equipment, including UAVs, drones, race cars. There's a lot of activity that goes on within engineering outside of the curriculum, all of which will stand you in considerable stead and can be used as experience if you are looking for employment within the engineering sector, or indeed if you want to start up on your own as an engineer or a consultant.
Thank you, John. So lots of things going on there, and lots of clubs in the other schools as well. But I think the interesting thing there particularly is that the clubs are not just for the faculty in which they tend to be based. The clubs are open to everybody. We have engineering students that come to the robotics clubs and so on. So the last school, last but definitely not least, is the Leicester Media School. They have courses in a very wide ranging number of areas. So things like film studies, music, journalism, concept and comic art, the one that Kit's on, which is game art, media foundation, visual effects. And again, lots of equipment and labs in both Queen's Building, Cleffam Building, a variety of different buildings. So Leicester Media School is the final of our three schools. So apart from the schools, there are an awful lot of places that you can go around the university for support and information. So the student support is based in Gateway House, which is also where our advice centre is based. Come to that in a second. And the student gateway is in Gateway House as well, and that's probably your first port of call for most things if you don't know where else to go. But the ground floor of Gateway House is where the gateway is, and that's all things finance and visa, international support, disability, all kinds of information there. Another really good place to know where it is the De Montfort Students' Union. So that is the building between, well, to the left of Gateway. I'm wondering if I have missed that slide off on the ones that I've given to you. Oh, no, I'm sorry, I've jumped ahead, haven't I? Sorry, my apologies. We'll go back to the advice centre in a second. So De Montfort Students' Union has independent advice that they can give to you. It's a very good place to go if you need extra information. It's also a really good place to go to get coffee and go to the shop and lots of other things going on. But that's where most of the fun things happen. And I believe during induction, there will be a lot of things going on there. So sorry, Jake, if we could go back to Chem Advice Centre. This is the main point of contact for Chem, Computing, Engineering and Media. And this is in Gateway House on the left as you go through the door. The lovely ladies there are pictured below. I think, Kira, I think that's you on the far left. I'm not sure. But these ladies are there to help out between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m, I believe, 8:30 a.m. and 4 p.m. there, I believe, Monday to Friday, and they are really knowledgeable. They will be able to help you or signpost you for virtually every question that you have. Last couple of slides. So the student charter is a very important document. You can find that if you Google it, but it will also be in the links on the induction that you have with your program leaders. The student charter is the agreement that we have between ourselves and the students on how things will be handled throughout the year. Really important document for you to read and understand and to go through so that everybody knows how we are going to work together over the next year. And then the final slide is the information sheet, which you can pick up, I believe, from the Advice Centre. I'll just check that with Kira in a second. Or you can download it. Again, links will be in your induction schedule. Kira, can you just tell me, have we got printed copies of this now in the Advice Centre?
Yeah, we've got loads.
Brilliant. So good place to go as the first port of call when you arrive is pop into the Advice Centre, find out where it is and what they do, and pick one of these up so that you've got a copy of it with you. So that's me finished with the PowerPoint.
There we are, we're back. Thank you very much for that, Pamela. That was very informative. And I think we'll expand on that a bit. So again, if you've got any questions, don't feel free to dump them in, to post them in the comment section, and we'll get right on them and we'll answer them as best we can. But we do have a couple that we sort of accumulated previously that I think we'll go over. But I think we'll definitely start off with this one from YouTube, from Hannah Keemsley. Will we be sent emails about when and how to go to the induction talks next week? Who would like to take that one?
I'm happy to take that one. So yes, you should be receiving an email with your induction schedule on it. If you have any queries or are uncertain, feel free to go to the Chem Advice Centre. They will put you then in touch with the relevant programme leader or somebody else from within the programme team to find out what you are doing. But you should be receiving an email telling you what will be in those induction talks in the near future. I will take that away though and double check that that's going to happen.
Perfect. Thank you, Pamela. And it is also worth mentioning that obviously in the last couple of weeks, you should have received your pre-registration email. It's important to make sure that you get yourself pre-registered so that when you get here, you can pick up your student card and be ready and raring to go without a problem. So one that I've got here, and anyone can feel free to jump in. Obviously, we expanded a bit on the Formula Racing Society earlier. Are there any other societies at STMU specifically relating to Chem? Because I believe there are a couple. So, Kit, were you able to jump in on this one?
I can't jump in a lot on it, mostly because I chose not to join that many societies. I can say that there's an extremely wide variety of societies for the uni as a whole, which is fantastic. They have a societies fair of sorts where you can walk around. I think they hosted it in Queen Elizabeth Leisure Centre last time, I believe.
Yes, that will be happening next Tuesday. We've got societies coming up. Apologies, Kit. I didn't mean to put you on the spot there. But no, there is definitely a variety of different societies, as previously mentioned. Obviously, we have the Formula Racing, which John mentioned earlier. But we have other stuff. If you're interested in, media, there's always Demon Media. There are plenty of other options. I believe there's a couple of game ones too, as well as more varied ones. Because the nice thing about DMU is you don't have to be studying something to join the society about it, if that makes sense. What I was going to ask you, Kit, is to tell us a little bit more about enterprise placements.
Yeah, of course. So the enterprise placement year is run by the university. It's open to all faculties, not just CEM. And essentially, it's for people who want to start their own business. You can just have an idea. You don't need to have a business going in order to do it. But it is just a really fantastic placement so far. There's only a few spaces available normally, so relatively competitive to get in. But honestly, the process of getting in was quite easy to follow along. You know, send in an application, go to an interview, kind of the regular process for getting into most jobs, I would say. Yeah, there's 7 of us on the course at the moment. It's been fantastic. We've got people from all the pretty much, well, just loads of faculties. And yeah, lots of fashion students this year. And someone who's developing edible crickets. Well, as in crickets that you can eat once they're not live crickets. So yeah, lots of different stuff there. Yeah, I would say that's mostly of what I have to say on it. But if anyone has like more specific questions about the placement year, just pop them in the chat.
Edible crickets certainly sounds innovative.
Yeah, it's definitely something for sure. I think it's the only person who's doing like a food. No, it's not true. There's 2 food-related businesses. There's a small online bakery as well, which I'm really excited to order from mostly. So yeah,
I think they'll get a little bit more traction maybe. But we have another message from Sam Collett asking, do you know if lectures will be online or in person this year? Is anyone able to jump in on this one?
Yeah, I can. So we're going to try to do blended, so it will be both, so online and face-to-face. So larger lectures will be online, but smaller practicals will hopefully be face-to-face. But you'll get your timetable on the 30th, so you'll see how many you have face-to-face and how many are online as well.
John, do you want to say some more as well?
Just briefly, this some on engineering courses, and I'm strictly directing this at engineering courses. There are a number of practical sessions which, by their nature and because of the learning outcomes, can only be delivered face to face. So if you're on an engineering course, expect that certain lab sessions will have to take place face to face. That having been said, most of the lectures and some tutorial material will be available remotely as well. So we're anticipating a fully blended approach in that area, but do be aware that there are some labs that you will have to attend in person simply because of the nature of the discipline.
Absolutely. I think it's important to say.
Sorry. I think that will also apply in computing and in LMS, because LMS uses things like television studios, radio studios. So yeah, I think although you're only really answering for engineering, John, it does apply across the board. There are certain things that can only really happen in person.
I think the main 2 priorities of DMU at the moment is to keep our students safe and to continue to deliver the best education that we can. And we feel a blended approach is the best option at this point. Face-to-face things such as lectures, even if they are being held face-to-face, will also be offered remotely in certain circumstances. So you will be able to get the most out of your degree while still getting a chance to go on campus and see some stuff and get to do some stuff up close and personal, get to deal with our excellent facilities, because they've been collecting dust for a year, so it'd be nice to get them back up and running again. But yes, thank you. So we have another one asking if there is a new course in intelligent systems and robotics. I'm not sure if this is a simple yes or a no one, but I also not sure. Is anyone able to jump in on this one? Yes, Pamela.
So there is a course, Intelligent Systems and Robotics, and that is a master's course. I know this because I took it. So it's not new at all. There is also a course called Intelligent Systems, which is virtually the same as Intelligent Systems and Robotics, bar for 1 module. For that, as I say, is a master's course. For undergraduate, there is the Artificial Intelligence course. It would be helpful to have a bit more context around that question, as whether or not this person is joining that course and asking if it's new for that reason or if it's just a matter of interest. But it's not new.
This postgraduate has said that they are a postgraduate international student, if that helps clarify things.
Fine. So then you're joining a well-established course with some really excellent modules on it. Very, very interesting modules.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I hope that's answered your question. But we've got Sandra now asking if anyone can tell us more about part-time non-fixed length courses, which is Pamela, you look like you were about to say something.
Okay. Sorry, folks. So I'm not sure what you are asking there. Yes, we do have some of those. They're not technically non-fixed length. Part-time, again, I talk from experience. I did my course part-time by distance learning And what that meant was I could take as many modules as I wanted. This was postgraduate, as I say. So it's a case of I took one module a semester instead of 4 modules a semester. So it took me a lot longer. But there is still a maximum period of registration. So you must finish within a certain number of years. All of these can be answered much further and much better by Chem Advice. Or, as I say, if they can't answer them, they will know who to signpost to.
Well, perfect. Yes, thank you very much. And yes, the Chem Advice Centre is always a good place to go, sort of as a first stop with any queries that you might have whilst you're at university. Even if they don't know the exact answer, they'll be able to signpost you. So yeah, they'll be able to signpost you to the people who do. I'm getting a reassuring nod from Kira there, so I'm assuming that's good information.
Yeah, even if we don't know, we will know who to send you to. So yeah, just come to us, it's fine.
Thank you very much. So Etanosa's come back to us after their previous question, asking, for postgraduate international students, how will the faculty assist in covering the knowledge gap, so the difference in gap between international and national students? Oh, John, you are currently muted.
I am muted. I'm not sure what discipline you're talking about here, but broadly speaking, if you meet the entrance requirements for the postgraduate courses, there shouldn't be a knowledge gap. You should be basically in a position to be able to start study straight away. The way the courses are structured is such that modules that give you background knowledge, or for those that require background knowledge as part of the program, are generally delivered in the second semester, giving you the first semester the chance to deal with the fundamentals. And so in each module, you'll find that they will target your existing knowledge base and then build on that from that point upwards. You shouldn't find a specific knowledge gap. We don't say that there is one. There shouldn't be one. If you personally feel that there is that you're struggling because you don't feel that you're quite at the same level, talk to us. It's not above possibility for us to offer you additional support. And that can be tailored to individuals as well. So if there's a small group, 1 or 2, or even just 1 or 2 having difficulty with a particular module, go talk to the module leader, talk to the program leader, come and talk to me, and we'll find some way of providing you with that little bit of a leg up, so that you can then find yourself at a level consistent with everybody else. But what I would do is not go into the course thinking there is a knowledge gap. There shouldn't be one. And of course it differs from individual, but we don't aim to design our master's courses in such a way that you're going to have a huge step upwards. It's obviously on a different level, but it's graded, it's graduated in terms of the time that you spend studying. So you will reach the level of a master's student by the time you graduate, rather than be expected to have the knowledge and capabilities of a master's student at the point of enrollment. That's the whole purpose of the course. So it's probably better to just go in and think, actually, you're going to be okay. And if you do find there's an issue, come and talk to us and we will help you.
Absolutely. I think it's important to say at DMU, we are more than happy to help you if you need the help. What you get out of university is what you put into it. So if you are struggling at any point, international or national, letting your teachers know and sort of trying to seek an improvement there is the best first step. But we have another question from Etanosa. Thank you very much for all the questions. We're more than happy to answer all of them. Asking, are the placement years a graded part of the course? Now, Kit, you're currently working on your enterprise, so do you think you'd be able to take this one?
Yeah, of course. So I don't know if this counts for all placement years. So just a disclaimer there. This is my experience with the enterprise placement only. But for me personally, I believe the course is part of the grades. So essentially how it's working is it counts as like an extra module of sorts. But if you get more marks in the placement year overall than you do in one of your other modules in your main course, then far as I'm aware, they essentially replace those marks with the marks from the placement year. So a few extra marks. Yeah, that's about that.
Fantastic. Pamela, you wanted to add something onto that.
Yes, so Kit has explained that well there. And some of your marks as you go through your degree will be discounted from your final classification. It's not that you can't pass them, you must still pass them, but good marks stay at the top, and some of your lower marks will be removed when we actually calculate your classification. But one thing that it is important to know, you do get a grade for your placement, but if there is a problem with the placement or your mark, you need to perhaps take a reassessment in it, it won't stop you from progressing. So as long as you were able to progress from your second year to your placement, you will be able to go into your final year. So it's just important to know that it's handled in a slightly different way for that. But what you will end up with at the end, if you do pass the placement, is a degree certificate that says with placement.
Fantastic, thank you. And John, you wanted to mention as it relates specifically to engineering.
Yes, mainly there are two things I need to raise really with regard to engineering. As you may be aware, our engineering courses are accredited by professional bodies, which basically means they meet certain key learning outcomes associated with the academic requirements of becoming professionally registered as an engineer. Now, that has certain restrictions on the course. We have what we call program-specific regulations for engineering. Pamela talked very briefly about discounting, and I would point out that if you're on an engineering course, an accredited engineering course, there is no discounting. That does not apply to engineering courses. You must pass all modules, and they will be accounted for as part of your classification. That's a requirement of professional bodies. As you can imagine, if you're a professionally registered engineer, you need to be able to demonstrate that you've met certain competencies. And if modules are discounted, then there's no way that the IET or the IMechE can actually claim that you have, and therefore it becomes difficult to offer accreditation to students who have followed that route. Regarding placements, yes, we have placements within engineering. In fact, they're strongly encouraged, and particularly in engineering, they're valuable. We don't have them as credit-bearing placements because if we did, we would lose too many credits from the taught curriculums and then not be able to fulfill the requirements of professional body accreditation. The placements are not mapped specifically to UK spec. That doesn't mean they're not valuable. They're extremely valuable, but they are optional and they do not affect accreditation. But the flip side of that is there's no credit attached to them. As Pamela says, you will still get a certificate saying you undertook it. And if you contact the professional bodies, as it stands at the moment, a placement year can count towards professional registration to the point where you can actually achieve professional registration as an Eng Tech after having completed a placement, providing you can use that placement to demonstrate competencies to UK spec at that level. So in return for not necessarily being credit bearing, you can put it forward as part of your portfolio for professional registration and even achieve post-nominals as an Eng Tech before you graduate. It's quite powerful. Not many of our students actually do that. It's an extra layer of work that you have to achieve, but it is possible, and that is an option that is open to you as part of the process of taking a placement. So you gain significant experience and significant elements of your portfolio towards professional registration from undertaking a placement in engineering. But alas, you do not get credits towards your degree. In that case, it applies to all engineering programs. Postgraduate courses also offer placements, short placements. Again, they are not considered to be part of the accredited program.
Thank you very much, John. Yes, so I think the most important thing to say is to check with your course leader about placements when you first join, because some courses they will apply, some courses they won't. It will vary from course to course, but no matter if they do apply to your degree or not, they are a very valuable thing to get involved with. And at the end of the day, sometimes a foot in the door at a place that you've wowed with your degree knowledge is one of the best advantages you can have coming out of university. So could we grab another question, please, Laura? Perfect. From Ian Corkill, is it possible to utilize facilities, not factories, such as computer labs outside of normal teaching times? And is this something you would need to book beforehand? Is there a time that they would be unavailable? Is anyone available to take that?
Yeah, I can take that one. I feel like I need to make just a full disclaimer of, again, this is just my experience with game art, but yeah, so can't speak for the other courses. However, the facilities at game art specifically, we do have computer labs. We have labs that just have like loads of drawing tablets and stuff. I think there's 3 separate labs within game art, but essentially there's a timetable of when lessons are happening in each lab. And then outside of those times, we've been allowed to just go in. I don't believe you have to book a slot for those ones. I've just kind of dropped into labs at random. Well, when labs are open anyway. And then normally, COVID notwithstanding, they're open from when the building opens in the morning. So I think that's, I want to say 8 or 9 a.m., maybe earlier than that. And the labs stay open until 9 p.m. usually in game art. So yeah, I believe anyway that they're open, quite a long time. And yeah, you can always ask your lecturers or whoever's in charge of the building who does that kind of thing to see if you have a different sort of circumstance with your labs. So yeah.
Thank you very much. Would anyone else like to add anything to this one? John, if you'd like to, and then we'll go to Pamela next.
Okay, so the situation in engineering is it's slightly different. In some ways, it's similar, but we offer you a little bit of extra support here. Every student in engineering undertakes a workshop induction in the first year, all undergraduate students, which basically means you become consistent and familiar with the use of machine tools, including lathes, power drills, this type of equipment, and also milling machines. What that basically means is that you've got access to the machine tools workshop during opening hours. And once you've qualified, signed off, there are certain pieces of equipment that you can use without supervision. Now that's true of the machine tools workshop. Other labs, electronics labs, for example, are freely available. They're open anytime the building is open. So your only restriction there is building opening hours. And of course, if there's a class in there, it's only polite to ask permission if you can hide in a corner somewhere and use the kit, which often is not a problem with that. As classes can be sometimes quite small and there can be free kit in a lab and that can enable you to use it. We do have 2 well-populated low-frequency labs downstairs, fully equipped with standard low-frequency workstations, and they're very popular. You can just walk in and use them as you wish. We have technicians who can support you in terms of obtaining components and bits and pieces, and we would encourage you, in fact I would strongly advise you to do so, is if you're not on an electronics course, go buy some kits and build them in our labs, because you learn a lot more by just doing things, often off your own bat. So if you find there's a gadget that you want to build and there's a kit available for it, buy the kit, come into the labs and build it, and you can even ask us for help if you run into any issues. That will help you as much as any taught module will, in terms of becoming a better engineer in that sense. Our technicians are in fact degree qualified in most cases. I taught some of them, so I know how good they are, and they are fantastic in terms of support. So the lab support I would say is excellent, and it's certainly better than another institution I used to work at, which isn't too far away.
Thank you very much, John. Are you able to add anything on, Pamela? You had your hand up there, but I don't know if your bits have already been covered.
So I'm just trying to remind myself which question it was, because
This was about facilities, utilising facilities.
Thank you. Yes, no, there is a very important point to note here. There are some buildings that are open all the time, 24/7, and that includes things like libraries where there are a lot of computers. But you do need to check your email. There will be times when all buildings will be closed, or buildings will be closed much sooner than you might expect. A typical example is over the spring break, when there are 3 bank holidays in a row, and the buildings will be closed for quite a long period of time over that closure. So keep your eyes open on your information, on your emails that come through, and on the announcements that come out through the Chem Blackboard shell. It's caught a few people out before.
Thank you very much, Pamela. And Kit, you said you just wanted to add something on about Kimberlin.
Yeah, just a brief addition to that one. So aside from the facilities that you'll have available to you within Chem, there's also an absolutely fantastic library at DMU, the Kimberlin Library. They have just about everything there. They've got computers. They can help you to some extent with finding hardware if you need. Sometimes they have, for example, like drawing tablets available for us game art students. They used to be open 24/7. I want to say, please correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, because I'm not in charge of the library opening hours. But I did just look it up, and currently they're open 8 a.m. till 10 p.m. on weekdays. A little bit shorter than that on weekends, but there's so many resources there. You can take books out. The electronic resources are available all the time. Pamela's pointing. What's up? Oh, okay.
I think she was raising her hand to put more to add more to this question.
Yeah, sure. What would you want to go after?
Pamela, if you want to finish
All I
off this
wanted
question,
to
or move
say,
on.
just Kit brought up there that they were open 24/7, and I believe they actually had a little goodie trolley that went round at like 1, 2, 3 in the morning with apples and cups of tea, because people were in there studying for so long. So the library's quite an amazing place to go.
Yeah, no, definitely. I've seen people in various states of sleep in the library before. And I think they've just added in some, well, when I say just added in, I mean like a year ago, but they added in some nice seating. And it's all just really well done. Returning stuff's very easy. Yeah, so, you know, definitely make use of the Kimberlin, because they've just got resources, so many resources, you know. Your course will probably tell you, you know, oh, there's a reading list, you know, you can access all of it. Yeah, I just highly recommend it. So
Absolutely. And if you are unable to get a hard copy of a book, make sure to check online, as they have e-copies of a lot more books than they have in hard versions. And also, you can have as many copies of an e-copy book as you'd like. So you're never going to see the rest of your classes already taken them before you. But we'll move on to this question from Alex, who says, if you want to do a placement year or a year in industry, do you need to find a company individually, or do DMU assist you in finding the 1-year employment? Also, do many students complete a placement year? Now, Pamela, you said you wanted to take this one.
If that's okay, I mean, I started at De Montfort University when it was still Leicester Polytechnic. That was in 1991. And when I came to do my IT degree, placements were compulsory. And I actually would love to see us get back to the point where the majority of students take placements. I'm not absolutely sure of the numbers, but I believe in Chem we have around 100 students currently taking placements, and we are working incredibly hard to increase that. I was incredibly lucky. I did my placement at CERN, and we had an amazing connection with them in those days, when they would usually regularly take 2 or 3 students from the university. So again, that's something I think it would be great if we could get back to. And we are building relationships with some excellent companies to get students out onto some brilliant placements. I know from engineering, several students I know of have been there with Caterpillar, and I know of at least one that has just walked straight into a job at the end of their degree. Caterpillar just wouldn't even let them go at the end of it. So there is a huge amount of opportunity, and we have a dedicated placement team. They will start communicating with you in the second year, but it's never too early. Get talking to them in the first year if placement is something you really want to do. Yes, they will help you to find a company, and yes, they've got some extremely good links, but there's nothing to stop you from either finding your own company, or, as Kit has done, setting up your own company. But the placement team will give you as much support as they possibly can. They'll tell you about opportunities coming up, or if there is a company that you're interested in, they can have a look into that for you. So there is vast amounts of support. They're on the 4th floor, right next to the faculty office, unless they've moved whilst I've been working in lockdown. But we can direct you to where they are, and I would say go and talk to them as soon as you start, if it's something you're interested in doing.
Yeah, if I'm just going to chip in briefly on this one, just as my personal experience of like looking at placements and stuff. The enterprise placement was advertised to us relatively late, so a good amount of game art students had already had already found placements, but honestly, in my experience, we've had so much support in terms of finding placements. I actually get an email from the uni from a dedicated email address every single Friday called Friday Job Alert, where they sort of update you on, you know, when you have to get a placement by, links to resources, links to emails that you can contact if you're having any trouble. Currently looking at it now, big list of employers that are currently hiring for placements and such. So yeah, no, the support's been really fantastic. And additionally, my lecturers do often put up placements that are specific to my course. So I imagine other courses lecturers might do the same. You know, they'll just be like, oh, this games company is hiring, and they just pop it in the electronics parts called Blackboard. I don't know if we'll come on to Blackboard, but yeah, DMU Blackboard, it's all on there. So yeah.
Thank you very much, Kit. I will vouch for that. I myself also went through DMU to get a placement whilst I was still studying. Landed myself some work at the Leicester Mercury, and that's another important thing to say about the placements is I did a week placement as part of my course, as just something a little extracurricular to add on. You don't have to do a year placement if you don't want to, but the options are there. They are. It varies from course to course and from placement to placement what length it'll be, and whether or not it'll be something that you'll do alongside your study, whether it'll be something that you'll take a certain amount of time out to study. So it is very varied. So just make sure that you're keeping an eye on that when you go through. Now, I believe we've got coming up a question that I think I can answer, which is nice to have that. What sort of things are we able to do with DMU Media? Now, I studied at DMU. I studied media production for 3 years, so I got very heavily involved with DMU Media. There are 3 strands to DMU Media. There is Demon TV, Demon FM, and The Demon. The Demon being our magazine, Demon FM obviously being our radio station, and Demon TV being the YouTube channel, but they also get involved with a lot of live events productions. So it's all, there are all a manner of different, sorry, my brain exploded for a second there. There are a manner of different bits and bobs that you can get involved with. You do not have to be from a Chem course or even from a media production course to get involved with that kind of thing. If you want to host a 2-hour radio show every week, you can do it. I did it so much in my time. I probably did too much radio. So by all means, get involved, find out a bit more about them. They will be at the Societies Fair, I'm sure, but you'll also be able to find all of our societies, for the most part, have a social media presence. So thank you very much, LT Ellis, for that question. And I think we'll move on to the next one, if that's okay. From Paul, is there any arrangements or consideration for those with poor/little programming knowledge background? I'm presuming this is referring to maybe some certain Chem courses, but Dr. Gow, if you'd be able to take this one.
Of course, yeah. I'm not going to talk specifically about the computing courses. Obviously, they'll involve programming to a greater or lesser degree. As an engineer, a lot of the time, as an electronics engineer, particularly, I'm an embedded systems developer, which involves integration of hardware and software. So I'm spending a lot of my life actually writing software at a very low level, talking to hardware. But in relation to your question, what I'd also say to that is I'm entirely self-taught. I do a lot of consultancy in high-speed logic and programming, and that's based on being self-taught. I didn't learn this stuff at university. And that was going back some decades now. What I would suggest regarding programming is the first thing to do here is rather than feel daunted by the concept of programming, get the jump on this. Have you heard of the Arduino platform, for example? You can find out more about this on the web. And you can, with very little expense, in fact, all the tools you need are downloadable free of charge. You need a little bit of hardware costing you at best a tenner. You can learn to write software and you can learn the concepts of programming very easily by actually doing it. And you've got time to do that right now. So rather than thinking in terms of, I've got to learn this whole body of knowledge, instead start with something that's already there and then start developing the idea of saying, what if I want this thing on my desk to do something slightly different? How do I tweak the code to make it happen? And you will spend many a happy hour doing the research and learning how to develop code in a non-formalized way. And if you then have a book on your desk and use it as a reference, never try and read a programming textbook, because it will send you to sleep or it will have you in tears. Instead, use it as a reference alongside trying to change something. Get a piece of code, try and understand how it works, and then tweak things, see what happens. Sometimes it won't work, sometimes it will. But in doing that, you will start to absorb the concepts of programming. And then by the time you get to our modules, which will involve you in formalized programming, you're 90% of the way there. I built an 8-bit microcomputer when I was 13 years old, long before I went to university. I learned how to program in not even in assembler code, in hex. By the time I got to university, I was light years ahead of my peers. Even if you're about to join us, get yourself an Arduino now and have some fun with it. And you will be surprised how much programming you will learn. Don't underestimate this. You learn an awful lot by doing it and less by being taught. It's very difficult to actually teach someone how to program. You can teach somebody a language, the fundamentals of it, and we do indeed do that. But actually how to take an idea, which is entirely a creative process. Remember, this is design, it's creative. To take an idea of how you want something to work and translate that into code is something that you can develop really only by doing it. You could learn, if you work with Arduino, if you get the Arduino environment and you look on the web, there's plenty of tutorials. There's almost a massive amount of resources online that are all geared towards having fun. If you get an Arduino doing something, you are learning C++. This is the language that you are working with. So rather than this being seen as an incredibly complicated, confusing language, it's not. What you're really doing is dealing with something that's incredibly logical. And one thing the human mind is good at is logic. So if you think about it this way, it's not daunting. It's all fun. It's great. It's absolutely great to work with. But the trick is not to go into it thinking it's something fearsome. And unfortunately, textbooks are very good at doing that. So I would throw away programming textbooks at the start and just get yourself a platform on the desk and play with it. Get some code that does something simple, even if it's flashing an LED, and ask yourself the question, how do I make that flash faster? Then look at the code and see if you can work it out and try things. It will take you time, and you will have many, many nights of lack of sleep, but immense pleasure working through this, enjoying it. I can't stress that enough. Play with it. And that will get you over that hurdle of thinking it's difficult, because it isn't. It really isn't. Programming is about how the human mind works in logic. And if you get past that, the rest of it's straightforward. If you're on an engineering course and you have any issues with programming, come and talk to me. I'll change your mind about it very, very quickly, and you'll go away loving it.
That's a very inspirational speech from John there. Thank you very much. But yes, we'll move on to another question here now then. So we've got one from Sandra asking, would there be a list of resources to read before starting a course at DMU? She specifically says that she'll be doing business intelligence systems and data mining. Pamela, is this one for you? Pamela, you're currently muted.
Let me unmute. There we go. So there will be a list of resources. You will probably find them when you get onto the Blackboard shell for each of your modules, and you will see a resource section there should be within there, or it might be as part of the module that says in perhaps the learning area what there is that's good to read. I wouldn't worry too much about reading an awful lot before you start. I'd enjoy induction week. There's going to be some fun stuff going on next week. And again, Chem Advice will be able to tell you the sort of stuff that's going on, and the Student Union will be where an awful lot of it takes place. But as soon as you do get access to your Blackboard shells, that's when I would start having a look and trying to do some searching. But thinking about business intelligence systems and data mining, there's an awful lot of good stuff online generically, and I would stick with that until you actually start, because the specific textbooks that you need will be covered when you get onto the actual program. Don't know if anyone else wants to add anything to that.
I think you've pretty much nailed it to begin with. I think it's sort of echoing what John said earlier, though, about even though there aren't maybe necessarily a specific list of resources you should get started on. By all means, if you're doing a practical course, if you're doing a theoretical course, get started anyway. Find the ways to start building up those skills. But I think you've pretty much covered that one. So we have a quick question here, a little off topic, but is there any parking for students near the Gateway building? Kira, would you be able to jump on this one, given that the Student Advice Centre is in the Gateway building?
So there's not a student car park or anything, but there is a car park right next to the staff one. You can pay, I think it's about £3 a day. And there's also on the street, you can park on the street and pay and display. I think it's £1 for 3 hours and £2 for 8, I think. But yeah, it says it.
We unfortunately don't have any student parking on campus, but there are car parks nearby, and I believe the parking accommodations vary from accommodation to accommodation. So where you're staying might have other solutions for you. But yes, we'll go on to a bit more of a general one, Kira, because I'm aware that you really haven't had a chance to talk for the last half hour. So would you like to sort of give us a bit of a rundown of what the Student Advice Centre can do for students, sort of when's the right time to come to the Student Advice Centre, all of that kind of thing?
So we're open Monday to Friday, 8:30 to 4:30 now. You can literally come to us for anything. So if you can't get hold of a certain member of staff, we can try and pinpoint you to another member of staff. If it's urgent, we do deferrals. We've got inquiries with your timetable. We've got a long list. Module changes, we can help with that. If you want to just come and rant, we'll listen to you. Just anything really, yeah. You're
very much sort of the first stop for if there's an issue that any student from Chem needs to resolve.
Yeah,
and you cannot miss the Chem Advice Centre. It has quite big banners showing itself
and it's
off.
all
So
pink and green, so you can't miss it.
You cannot miss it. I believe it's directly on your left as you come into Gateway.
Yeah, on the left.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much. So we have a couple of questions. We are coming towards the end of the live stream, but we can still answer a couple more. So Alex here very quickly says he's going to be doing media production. Congratulations, best course. And was just wondering if you have access to the Adobe Suite outside of the labs. Kit, you said that you'd be able to pick this one.
Yes, I can answer this one. So yes is the answer to this. You're given a license that's your university login for it. You have to sort of renew your student subscription with them every year or so, but it's all sorted out by the university. You don't have to pay for it. So yes, they give you access to all of that. So it's great.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. But yes, and also we have for the computer science course, would you recommend certain computers or laptops that will help to achieve the degree? Is there anyone who would like to come on this one? Pamela, as always, by all means.
Okay, so it's very difficult to recommend a specific laptop, partly because we don't know exactly what you are going to want to do with it. You could end up doing a project that needs a particular piece of software, but partly because all the software that you need will be on the laboratory computers. Just to give you some information from last year, when we were in lockdown and we couldn't access the laboratory computers, there was a way of virtually logging into those computers so that you could still run the software. I've yet to hear if that's continuing this year, but that is another way of accessing what you need. So I would just say you need a reasonably good specification of computer, but if you haven't yet bought one, it might be worth waiting until the course actually starts and then have a chat with your program team at that point. But you're not going to be expected to have something that can run very high level or very resource hungry software.
Thank you very much, Pamela. We are coming towards the end of the stream, so I think we've got 2 more questions. If we don't get to your question, do not worry, we will answer it afterwards. It'll just be via a comment instead of via a conversation. So our penultimate question for today from Epical Ethan. How are students supported when finding a job at the end of a course? Who'd like to jump in on this one?
I don't mind. Oh, sorry.
By all means, Kira.
So there is a careers team in Student Gateway. So you just pop in, make an appointment with them. They'll guide you with that. There's also some information on the website as well about that as well.
Absolutely. Their DMU works are available to help at all times with finding new placements and also jobs later on. We have graduate schemes. We'll post the link in the comment section soon, but make sure that you check out everything that they've got on offer for yourself. John, you look like you have more to say.
Oh, well, hopefully what I can say we said very quickly. I cannot stress the value of placements in this matter. The whole process of applying for and obtaining a placement is, I promise, identical in engineering to the process that you need to go through in order to, quotes, get a job. I mean, there's nothing to say that when you graduate, you couldn't set up in business yourself. I mean, you'd need to have the skill set to do it. It's a matter of confidence, really, or whether that's the sort of thing you'd want to do. But the beauty of the placement is that it gives you an incredible leg up in that department. More so, we do have support, as you're asking. There are organisations within DMU that offer support to graduates or students who are graduating, but that's a bit too late to leave it. If you start looking at placements, you're then looking at this in the second year, at the start of your second year, really. By the time you've graduated, if you did a successful placement, it's a very good bet the company will probably want to keep you, so you'll already have a job. There's a strong possibility then that you'll also have an additional raft of skills that will mean that you'll have no problem in getting one if you wanted to do something different. Can't stress the advantage of that. So I would say don't leave it until the end of a course. Start now. And that's in your first year. Start now. Polish your CV, get the skills up, talk to our placement unit, talk to DMU Works, talk to us, talk to anybody. Bend the ears of anybody who can give you some advice, and then take it and run with it. And you'll find that actually you'll by the time you get to the end of the course, you won't be worried about a job.
Perfect. Thank you very much, John. So we have our final question, which is from Etanosa. Once more, rounding us out, is it possible for a student to switch PG course, for example, Intelligent Systems MSc to Mechatronics MSc? Pamela, this seems like one for you.
For me and Kira, so yes, you can change courses. This is a really good time to bring up the regulations. The regulations are your friend all the way through your course, and the regulations will state that you can change your course up to week 2, exceptionally up to week 4. You must get in there to the Chem Advice Centre, get the form and get it sorted as quickly as you can if you want to change. We can't allow it to happen too late after the start of term or you'll have missed too much. But you must get the agreement of the programme leader that is going to take you on, because that course might be full or your pre-qualifications may not fit. So yes, you can apply. Chem Advice Centre can help you with that, but it's not a guaranteed thing.
Okay, well, thank you very much, everyone, for coming along. We'll quickly just whiz around and see if anyone's got any last words they'd like to add on, and then we will be finishing up, I'm afraid. Again, if you've got any questions in the comments, we will answer them later. So Pamela, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Not from me, just have a great time. Enjoy it.
Thank you very much. Kit?
Yeah, this is pretty brief, and I don't know how many people it will apply to, but I just wanted to mention that there is a lot of support as far as disabilities and mental health goes at DMU. I know especially as far as game art is concerned, you know, very intensive, often long working hours. You know, a lot of game art students end up, you know, discovering that they've got a few mental health things that they need to work through. The uni's been amazing with support on that. There's an entire section of Gateway dedicated to disability advice and support. They've got mentors that can help you. They've got study skills mentors that can help you. They can signpost you to, you know, wherever you need to go to get the support and help you need. So yeah, if that applies to you, then yeah, it's just fantastic. And if it doesn't apply to you, then you're one of the lucky ones.
Thank you very much, Kit. John,
worries.
is there anything else you'd like to add?
Just to really echo what was said about enjoy it, particularly in engineering, the more you don't be afraid to do things off your own bat. And above all, if I can give you one piece of advice, it's develop the ability to ask, what if? What if I change something? I want to achieve something. What do I need to do? Maybe I could try this, and then don't be afraid to give it a go. Yes, you might break something, but then that's part of the learning exercise. We expect you to vaporize a few components in electronic engineering. It happens, but that is part of the learning experience. Don't be afraid to give it a go. And don't be afraid, more to the point, to work outside of the module template or work outside of the curriculum, because the skills you will gain are as much as you will get by simply doing the minimum. If you do the minimum, you'll probably pass and you'll probably get a degree. Will that make you a good engineer? Probably not. If you develop the desire to actually learn and the skills to want to learn, that will be the difference between a 2-1 and a first. So if I leave that thought with you, that's probably the most important thing I can say at this point in time.
Well, thank you very much, John. Wise words of advice. Kira, anything else you'd like to add?
No, nothing really. Just that you don't have to come in and see us. You can email us and give us a call as well. I think you're going to put the banner here. Yeah, so you can ring us and email us whenever.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much to everyone who's come and asked us questions or just sat there and watched. Thank you to all of our guests today. And also thank you to Laura behind the scenes, who's been working like a champ to keep this all running. We hope you have a lovely first term at DMU, and we wish you all the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye. Good luck.